What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Lindsay and I are here. Lindsay, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Always. So Lindsay's having a fantastic week, up almost 8%, correct?
Yeah.
So far?
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I think there's a lot of lessons that we can take from your week and my week and hopefully share, like I was saying to you, share the lessons with the rest of our group, with the rest of the trading community. So today's Wednesday, July 15th. It's actually my mom's birthday. And we ended up finding a really good trade together, you and I, and a lot of our members in the VIP on GbpJpy. But prior to today, if you could kind of just give us an idea before we jump into the screen share, how has your week been prior? It's been all EurCad, right?
EurCad and EurUsd.
Got it. So two different euro pairs. And what was the bias there?
Yeah,
long bias. Was there any fundamental reason that you were long biased, or was it strictly technical?
Strictly technical.
Got it. So let's pull up the chart. Let's just jump right into it. My reason for asking if it was fundamentally driven in any way is only because I know the dollar index has been really taking a beating. If you look,
yeah,
really
it has.
From
Yeah.
Monday it dropped, Tuesday it dropped kind of in the same range, but then today really pushing. I mean, today we touched 95.80. So when you see that, do you use that in your euro trades at all?
Yeah, I have it. It's still in the back of my mind that obviously I know when the dollar's falling, the euro's pushing usually.
Absolutely. So what was the first one on Monday? Was that EurUsd or EurCad?
EurUsd.
Got it. So you were looking, was it a D1 or an A1? I think it was this D1 off the 50.
It was D1 off the 50.
Off the 50 and the 200 right in here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And now I think this is a really great trade to start us with. So give us the context, if you don't mind. Just kind of set the stage for us. What were you looking at this morning as the week started? This is Sunday coming into Monday.
Yeah, I think for me, going back even from last week, I was coming into this week really taking my high probability trades, and I was keeping that in mind and not to be distracted by what we've just been talking about, the trade idea. So when I was coming into this week, I had that on the back of my mind, and I really just wanted to come in, use my higher time frames as my confluence, and then come to my 15 minutes to see if I can get my high probability trades with that liquid 50. Because as you know, for me, trading the swap in liquid 50 has been kind of one of my things. And coming into this week, like we chatted about, I wanted to keep that, the high probability trades there, and not every trade idea that I had I wanted to trade. So coming in, I saw this with euro. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So now I'm looking at this. So now kind of break it down for us. So we have Monday labeled into Tuesday. So you were looking at Monday as it came down to the 200 EMA. You felt pretty confident that at that point, because why? It was testing the Asia low, still making higher lows. And like you said, that TDI was in a zone where you felt like you had a bias.
Absolutely, yeah. So I just waited for, I waited for the RSI to pull through the trend line on the 15 minute and take it down to the 1 minute to look for my entry.
My thought is, like, when you say selectivity and you say how you were like remembering what we spoke about last week, I want to drive that home to everybody listening, because I think you said, and you like called yourself out last week almost, saying, look, I was being a little aggressive, taking C setups, taking some setups that I probably could avoid. Knowing that, and then coming into this week and then still being up almost 8% on 3 trades, I think that just shows how well you personally follow the rules. Because even though you had this like emotional bias of, all right, I don't want to be too aggressive, but I still want to trade, but I don't want to be too aggressive, but I still want to trade. Even though that was there, you were like, look, if there's entries, I'm playing. I got to find good entries and take entries no matter what. So tell me, when on this EurUsd trade, I assume that when you saw the first break here, you're getting a little bit more confident. Second break is probably where you took your entry.
Second break is where I took my entry, when the liquid 50 moved in. Yeah, I just took it to the low there, and the liquid 50 was holding the buy.
Right in there, and it just pulled up for you. Yeah, I see that exactly. Yeah. What was your exit on this trade? What was your reasoning for getting out? How did you close it? 1R, 2R, 3R? What were you thinking?
No, I would write up with this to a resistance. Let me think. This was a 7R trade, and I took it up
this
to
was huge for you. It went right up.
This was right up to the very top. There was a resistance zone that came in from the higher time frames for me, and I knew that had been a target. But majority of the trade, I was out at 4R, and I had a small piece in that I let run to that take profit level that I had set.
Were you using pivot points at all? I have the daily pivot point down here. So you were above the daily pivot. Were you looking to trade from pivot 1 to pivot 2? Was that kind of the idea?
Yeah, it was kind of the idea, but I'm still keeping my R multiple in mind. So I'm still using my R multiple as my exits. And then when I came up, I knew that from the higher time frame, I could get the top on the zone. So as long as I was majority out at 4R, and I had like, it wasn't even 10 yet. Stop loss was locked well up. And that was my zone. So I knew it was either going to come back down and bring me out to stop, or it would hit that zone. And as soon as it hit that zone,
continue.
I was I was out.
It's cool because you can see the structure
And it was
where it kind
holding
of
the
sets
8.
the zone here. So when it,
Yeah.
exactly. So when it comes back to there and it's not breaking under the 50, there's no reason to get out of it. It's still telling you to be
and
bullish.
it was really good
So
risk reward to that,
right.
just to that top, just to that high.
Absolutely. It's just to the high that was set here. So then
Yeah,
to see it
yeah.
exceed, you almost got full ADR on this day.
Yeah.
So now tell me, how did this bias? Because you crushed this trade. Were you full out of the trade at the end of the day? Like you closed at 7R?
I closed it. My stop loss, my take profit at the 7R was set. So I knew that if it just hit that, or it would come back down, I was happy, you know, to take it out at the 7R at the resistance zone.
So now, how does that bias carry into Tuesday? Because on Tuesday, I actually ended up finding 2 more opportunities. Right?
It was
D1
2 more,
down here,
yeah,
and then an A1 here. But you said you switched to EurCad, right?
But I switched to EurCad the next day.
Breakout here.
And although I was still watching EurUsd present to me as like a trade idea, I marked it all up. I was already in EurCad, so I stuck to being in EurCad.
80
and just
pips.
Yeah, but I cut myself off with EurCad because I just took it to the ADR.
Got it. So you maybe left a little skin in the table, but still
a
great.
But still, I was very very happy with it.
And again, look at how you're being selective. You know what I mean? You said, I looked at EurUsd, and even though you traded EurUsd the day before, you were like, yeah, but the best setup today is not EurUsd.
To me, it wasn't. Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to do it, because you're using the bias. Like a bias to me doesn't mean necessarily trade EurCad or trade EurUsd again. It means I'm going to look for euro pairs to be moving higher.
Yeah.
I have a directional bias behind a currency. So I'm going to check EurJpY, EurCad, EurAUD, and see where's the best trade, just like we did on GBP pairs today. But we'll go over that in a second. You go down the list of them, GJ was the best one, undoubtedly. So when you do that, like you said, you end up generating a lot of trade ideas, but not putting all of your money into all of those trades. And that's the most place to be. Let me pull up GBP pairs today, and we can kind of go over these too, because I know that EurCad trade would end up, for some people, leading into a bias today even, because I know a lot of the guys this morning were looking at GCAD to see this come higher as well. And that was, I think, what kind of got me going on the GbpJpy idea. Were you in the same boat? Were you watching GCAD this morning? Because I mean, look at the TDI; it looks great for buys.
It looked great, but I just didn't see anything in GCAD. I didn't see a setup present.
Some people were looking at this. They were trying to convince me that this was a formation, but the TDI was not right. Like if you throw it into, if you throw it into replay, you can see like it's very far from being right. The TDI is not set up correctly. So I just said to them, I'm like, go look at the other GBP pairs. But you said you were looking at GA too.
I was looking at GA,
So explain to everybody this one, because there's a lot of value in this too, just at this level.
It's the same kind of thing. It's just going, I really like the higher time frame bias on GA for coming down, but I do know there's a lot of resistance in the daily right at the bottom of where it's traded down to, which is obviously stopping this pair moving lower. But for me, I saw it come up to the Asia high. I could see there was resistance building, and that it was a zone coming off the higher time frames, you know, that it's rejecting up here. But to me, it was no man's land. So it had, yes, it was coming off Asia high, but I don't think that's huge significance.
Not strong enough, right?
There's not even a pivot point in the middle before, you know, it can reject before even moving to the 200. So to me, it was in no man's land, which put me off.
I agree. I think we find more probabilities when you find significant levels. I mean, here's the daily pivot. If this had pulled back to this level,
absolutely.
much different. You know what I mean? And then compare that, just so everybody watching, so you can see, look at GJ, the trade that we're going to go over next. Look at how this is off that 200. It is sitting on the 200, very close to the 800 as well. You know what I mean? So it's just a different perspective of saying significant level, not just an Asia low, but it's actually using an EMA or a pivot point to give it significance as well. What do you think about this, Lindsay? I had this zone drawn from back here. Let me turn these off just because it's a little
that's what I've got that on my chart as well.
And I'm looking at the risk reward trading down into that, and it just didn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? I mean, that distance is not far enough to make it worthwhile. The only way this would be worth it is if it's going to low of day, which it does. It makes its way there. But again, we're not talking about trading every idea that we have. We could sit here, you and me, and go through every pair and come up with an idea, some type of an idea. The probabilities here weren't in your favor, like you said. I think that's the most important thing.
So it's like having them, although you've got really lovely higher time frames on your 15 minute, you've not got the probabilities in your favor.
No, 100%. I mean, so I look at the 1 hour. It's been outside the 8 EMA all week. L50's
Yep.
falling. 4 hour RSI's in the sell zone, but look at it again, holding the 8, holding the 21 pretty well. So definitely short buys. Look at the daily. You know what I mean? Coming back down off the 20. So the short bias, I think, is definitely the direction, but it's just probability. So how would you deal with this? This is a tough one. Ready? You're looking at GA to go short, and you think you might get a short entry, but then you hear me and other people saying, I want to buy GJ. How do you deal with that mentally? How do you decide what to do? You personally?
Because I just really was looking at GA as more of a trade idea. And
got it. From the jump, you
know,
never really loved it.
I never loved it. And
Got it.
for me, coming into the week, like I said in the beginning, I was trying to get away from these C setups that aren't worth your money. There's some C setups that are worth your money, but this C setup was definitely not. So for me, it was just an idea that I was going to mark up, you know, and play it out and see, you know, where it was at. But GJ having the perfect liquid 50 and the EMAs were better, it just was a better probability on the setup. So that was why I was looking at that as well.
Exactly. So on GJ, I have my, I can show this is my P&L. So you can see I got most of it out here at 17 pips and then 20 pips. And then I just got bumped on the rest of it as it came back down and tapped me out right here. So overall, I think you and I and everybody in the group handled this trade really well, because what ended up happening was we see it pull back to the significant level. You went through all the GBP pairs. You have a GBP pair long bias in this situation. So then we're taking it down to the 1 minute to find our setup, to find our entry. And in here, you get clear divergence. Price is falling as that RSI is rising. And it's set up so nicely for us. I mean, everybody had time if they wanted to see it break. Yeah, you saw it break. You saw it retest once here and then even again here. So you could have added twice, in my opinion. That's how I managed it.
Well, I got in the last retest.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you're getting that. Yeah, exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. That's where you get that pull. And I think that's the move. And you're looking for it at that point to go to target. You have to keep the target in mind. As much as we want to exceed target and go to high a day and go shoot to the moon, go to ADR, it doesn't do that all the time. No. So you have to keep the divergence in check. And this starts on the RSI. I drew it from the RSI high here to the price action high here. And again, just look what it did. Like, why would we think look what it did last time it came? It pinned the divergence, came off it. We're trading up to it. Why do we think that this is going to be the time it breaks? That's foolish. You should be majority out of the trade at that point and then lock it. Because if you don't, when it does this, for whatever reason, it's turning around, you got to deal with the pain and give back some of the win. And that's where I think a lot of people also run dry. That's not the way to trade. Get in, lock it, and then move on. Like I said already, I traded 20 minutes. Look at the P&L. Like, most of the trade was closed within.
I know, I was so quick.
Both that and all week you saw I've been sitting here just waiting. And then it's like when an entry lines up, you really, I think, have to be ready to take it and put the market in play. So do you have any tips that you could give everybody to differentiate trade ideas versus trades that are worth your money? Is it strictly the grade of the trade? Because I don't know if that's the easiest way to do it, but I wanted your opinion on that. How are you being more selective?
I am probably as you know, I like to keep my higher time frames in favor with me and trade the overall trend of the market.
Yes.
So that is how I really have been differentiating my trade ideas and my setups, the ones that I'm executing. I really am trying to keep it all in line, because I think that's where you're getting the high probability setups and the ones that run for you, that don't have the divergence on top or on the bottom when you're executing them. So I think for me, and for MD, watching this, it is about, don't forget about your higher time frames. Definitely check them out for your analysis, and then make sure your 15 minutes lining up.
If we look at like the daily time frame on EurCad, and I was buying this last week. Remember, my last trade was a week ago today when I first got settled in Florida. It was Wednesday. It was my first day back, and we hit EurCad for a quick A1 sheep candle. That was back here on like the 7th or the 8th. And since then, on the daily, the TDI, it's in the buy zone, and price has been holding the 8. Long bias, like you said. Now let's line it all up. 4 hour. Look at that TDI. Long bias. Very clear EMAs. And look at the 1 hour. The 1 hour actually had an entry back here on Monday. So all week, you're going to be long bias because of that A1. Yeah. So it's like you had every time frame in your favor when you were trading this on Monday and on Tuesday, and it started, I think, across the board for the euro pairs on Monday. You saw EurUsd pick up, the dollar index come down, and then, like you said, if you can line up the higher time frame technical stuff with solid fundamentals where you like see the dollar struggling and things like that around the world, then it's a no-brainer. So now one other thing I do want to touch on in today's video for everybody, let's talk about the time zone difference, where I ended up Monday sleeping in 45 minutes later. So I woke up at 5:45, not 5 o'clock. So I wasn't able to take EurUsd with you. Tuesday, EurCad here ended up presenting. That's 3:45 my time. So that's way early for me. So what would you say to somebody like me who's trading in a different time zone than you in the UK about FOMO, about feeling like all the moves are happening before I wake up? All the moves happen after I wake up, or whatever, you know what I mean? They miss moves because of timing. What would you tell somebody in that position?
And it's funny because I had put a post up on Instagram about that kind of thing, you know, what's your weakness as a Forex trader? And most of the answers I got back was FOMO, missing out on opportunities. And I actually had thought about doing a video on it because I just think it's about you having consistency within your trading, you know, trying to, like, as you said, you're usually very consistent. You're up at the charts at the same time. You slept in the 2 days, but you know within your system and the systems that we trade every day, the opportunities are going to present regardless of when you get to the charts. So you can't be hitting yourself hard because you didn't get to the chart like for your dedicated session at 9 a.m. in the morning. You know that there's going to be opportunities present, whether that's today, whether that's tomorrow or the next day.
People don't want to hear that, Lindsay. They want to know that they're going to wake up every day and that they're going to find money that day and it's going to be there for them. But I think they forget that the market doesn't care about them. The market is just moving as the market moves. And we have to respect that.
You do is, with us having the experience, we've been there, we've done it, we've wore the t-shirt, and does it pay off? No, it doesn't.
Right.
Because I used to have that FOMO and fear of missing out, and you would jump into trade just because momentum's there and you think, gosh, it's going, and you go into the buy. You've got to catch it. But it doesn't pay in the long run. You'll maybe get a bit of luck that day, but it doesn't pay in the long run.
Well, that's the worst. When you end up winning a trade, when you're chasing and you're living off FOMO, it creates bad neural connections in your brain. You think it's actually okay to play into that emotion. You know what I mean? Yeah,
you've got to leave your emotions at the door as a Forex trader.
Absolutely.
Before you start your trading session. I think that's the only way.
Like Jack this morning with the GAID, and I complimented him because I said, like, he took the criticism well. When I just came in the morning, the first thing I said, I was like, bro, this is not good. You know what I mean? This is just not a good idea. Find a better idea.
Yeah.
He's come a long way. He's a great example of somebody he's really trying to work hard on, like, himself to say, what do I need to do to let my ego just get out of the way? I want to make money. I don't want to be right. But that's hard. And it's interesting too, because everyone in our group and in our community and who watches these videos has you as a really powerful resource, because you bring, I describe it best as like the feminine energy, because the masculine energy is so straight, so rigid, so bullish. You know what I mean? So just bullish in the sense that will run through anything to accomplish anything. That's ego. That's all that is. So the feminine energy, I think, helps balance that out and keeps us from feeling like in this lack of mindset. And I said this to you, I think on our call on Monday, our coaches call, I was like, the way that I see it is, if I could just have stayed consistent as the patterns are the same as they were in 2015. The candles are going to be there. It's just about us, I think, surviving. And if you accept the fact that the patterns are going to be there in 2025, no matter who's president, we're still going to have patterns. If you accept that, then you don't rush anything. Then there's no fear in anything. But if you fear like you need to make the money right now, that's what I think causes you, me, anybody to jump into an extra trade, chase a trade back.
Absolutely. And you see that happening. Gosh, I've been there when I first started out, and you know, it is about you need the money or whatever, but you have to get your mindset point that doesn't happen like that in Forex.
What about for the people that even want to trade more than they want to make money? That's not you. I know that's not you, but you've seen some of the guys in our group that want to trade, even if it doesn't mean making, like, they will make money and then keep trading and give it back.
Yeah, that annoys me as well. Just do one good trade and be done. I was talking to a guy in MumBoss, and I hope he's watching this, because I said to him, do you always trade like 12 trades a day? And he's like, no, that's something I need to go over. Exactly. Just go in with one high probability trade, and you just need to do one and done.
Do less, do it better, do it bigger. You've had 3 trades this week. You're up almost 8%. I had my 1 trade today up almost a little over 2%. So it's like everybody, I think also you have to be okay with other people doing well. That's a piece of the ego too.
Yes.
If you don't like it when other people are winning, it's really hard for you to be honest and grow and win yourself. You have to respect everybody on their own path. That's why I was super happy that you were willing to get on and do a video with us to highlight not just your success, but the other people like Jack and other people in our group that are finding success in their own ways that aren't quantifiable. Like you are at 8%, everybody needs to be up 8%. That's not what it is at all.
No,
Everybody should
no.
be positive for each other. But I think you and I can continue to put out these videos and can continue to drive home like this month. I think our idea, our theme of anything is selectivity. Take all of your ideas and realize, you ego driven human being, that you're not always going to be right. You need to have a lot of ideas and then be selective in how you actually apply your hard-earned
And that
money,
was exactly what, we said to Jack earlier today was,
Right.
don't be hard on yourself. Take this lesson on board and really evolve from the lesson you've learned today. And I think now that he has took the lesson, he will be more selective.
Absolutely.
And it was a bit like me last week when I was on a couple of recaps with yourself, and even looking back on the trade that I executed, I knew that it was off edge for me. It was a bit aggressive, and I didn't want to continue that.
Right.
And I think it's just like I put up a post about having a winning streak, and you've got to sometimes bring yourself back to your level, to the ground, and say, I'm not going to be starting to go a bit messy on the setups that I'm looking at, because taking the high probability trades got me to this success where I'm at, and you've got to always remember that.
You did a great job of it. Like, I can't compliment you enough, because last week you felt that feeling of, all right, I'm being a little aggressive. I'm taking setups that aren't the best. Let me reel this in. And not only did you reel it in, but it's like the trading universe rewarded you for doing that. You did it well. So listen, Lindsay, you're doing the rules right. Here you go. Have all of the have all the wealth. You know what I mean? And I think that's just how the universe works. I think if you follow the rules right, you're going to get paid. But I'm really glad that we are able to continue to do these videos for people, because a lot of people, I think, are getting just discouraged from the idea of trading just because they aren't following rules. You have been, I think, one of the best traders in our group at, okay, here's a rule, I'm going to follow it. You don't let yourself sway. So when we do these videos and when you and I have our conversations, I always want people to take that away more than anything. If you're trying to implement, and you're trying to pull an 8% week like Lindsay is, notice the first thing is always she follows rules the best. When she sees something that needs to change in her system, she adjusts and she applies that rule going forward. She is not questioning in it. Sometimes she might win, sometimes she might lose. She doesn't change her rules, and that's like the kicker. But it starts with you, like you just said, not really caring as much. You still care, I know you do, but you don't care as much about the outcome of one trade.
No, I don't. I'm by that. Like, and even my hubby and I can notice it here, that I used to be so emotional when I first started out, but I knew that, and I see it in the community, there's so many people let their emotions get to them, but I knew if I wanted to go and have success and evolve, I had to get over it. I had to work on that mindset to totally leave the emotions at the door. So it's like you say, it's not that I don't care, but I very much am just so focused on the process, and no matter the outcome of the trade, win or lose, I'm in the process of growing and evolving in my journey.
But you got a taste of it already. That's the key. And that's what I want people to understand. You got a taste of, this is a system, and if I just ignore the rules, I'm going to win more times than not, and I'm going to grow my account. You've tasted that now. It's hard to explain that to people before they taste it. So hopefully today's video and all of our other videos, if you haven't seen them, you guys can go check them out. Hopefully all of this gets you a little bit closer to tasting that feeling of, I want to trade to make money. I want to become financially free and independent. That's why I'm doing this. But at the same time, I know I can't care about the money in order to actually consistently grow. I need to just trade the best trades and follow the best rules possible. So for everybody that's listening, Lindsay, I'm going to put your Instagram and your Calendly link down in the description. So everybody hit Lindsay up. She's totally available. I know she's busy, but I'm going to keep saying she's available for one-on-one calls with you guys. I know a lot of people have been finding value in that. You can go to her Instagram and check out the testimonials. People are always saying great stuff about her. I can never say enough great stuff about her. And honestly, if you are struggling, she's someone who's going to really listen to you and try her best to point you in the right direction. The reason I wanted her to be a coach with us, and I'm so grateful that she is because she does the same thing that I do. She never tells anyone, go do this, go do that, she just asks questions and tries to bring you to a different perspective. And the traders in our group are finding a ton of value in it. So if you're listening and you want to take her up on it, link down in the description. But Lindsay, thank you as always. Congratulations on a great week. Keep it up, and let's finish it strong.
Yeah, excited.